Hey Dom, this is Dave Decide. Today I want to get into Jung Kook and the World Cup. We got a lot going on with that and why people are upset. I wanted to get into Jung Kook and a Sesson incident that is seemingly coming to light. We also have a Stray Kids Sesson incident recently as well. So hater or not, make sure to subscribe with the notification bell on. Grab your dumplings, hey Spling Muck March, and let's get into it. There's been a lot of pretty disturbing news happening recently, and I'm not sure why. I do wonder if it's because there's an increase in Sesson news coverage in general, so more people are reporting on more of the happenings, or if it's because of the news, the labels are paying more attention. But it's quite shocking to read a recent post that was put out by Stray Kids and JYP, their label. Now, JYP doesn't address things in the way that Big Hit would. They typically don't address too much, and this has been a method that has worked for them. So when they do go about addressing something, it's a big deal. So what happened with Stray Kids? Well, during one of the legs of their recent tour, it was allegedly believed that Stray Kids was being followed heavily, to the point of people waiting for Stray Kids at their dorm, sneaking into the building, and these are more of the obvious crimes. I'm sure there are also crazy things being said online that have resulted in some fear among the members. Recently, for one of their concerts, there were death threats and police got involved. On a lighter note of this, I think this also proves how popular they've gotten. If you want to look at the bright side, you know you've hit a level of success when there's only people who hate you and there's only people who love you. As in, there's not a person without an opinion of you, meaning what you do has impact. And so that's a good thing for their career. As for their mental health and maybe even physical safety, not so great. But I also highly doubt any of these psychotic haters will actually do anything. Apparently, a lot of these stalkers have been causing a lot of mental distress from the members, and they are likely scared and feel like their personal space is violated. When you tour so often and you're just out of your own hometown so much, your home has to be your hotel. There's tricks people use in hotels to make it feel like home. Bringing your own pillows, or I've seen people unpack everything and put it in drawers, and even if they're only there for one night, because the action of opening your drawer and pulling out your clothes feels like you're at home or normal. Now, if Stray Kids does any of that, these are things they can't do if there's stalkers roaming around or in their dorm and hotel. I think this is mostly just happening in their dorm though. But Stray Kids randomly put out a long statement that kind of shocked the fandom, and they spoke about taking legal action on those people and how those people need mental health. And this is not normal behavior. They asked these people to stop, and given the recent stalker law in Korea, this is definitely very illegal. JYP also apparently has CCTV footage of these actions occurring, which means if they were to go to court with these stalkers, they'd win. And it bothers me because I feel like the stalkers who do this think it's okay. Like, they think that they know the boys so well that they can just go into their dorm. But not only is that crazy to think because they don't know you, but even if they did, you probably shouldn't sneak into your friend's house randomly or a significant other's house randomly. That's crazy. I don't even think I'd want to do that with family. Of course, Stray Kids are not the first ever people to have this happen. BTS is no stranger to this as well. A little while ago, I think in Las Vegas, Jung Kook was at his hotel and he was doing a stream for ARMY. One method that stalkers like to do is call the idol during live streams, because if the stalker can see and hear the idol answer the phone or just hear the ringing, then the stalker will know that they either have the right number or have the right hotel room. And in this particular case, the alleged stalker called Jung Kook's hotel room, and Jung Kook really believed it was a stalker and begged them to stop and to not do that. Jung Kook was saying how he could hear breathing on the other end, and it was so creepy. Of course, the staff came in and took the phone very quickly. Jung Kook ended up finishing the stream, and he didn't let this bother him. I think if this was a regular person, it would be more troublesome. But since it was Jung Kook, he was probably aware that security would be on their way, or their team would have already been on it to make sure no stalker comes to that room or floor. So thank God Jung Kook has that protection. Now, some new rumors started to occur online. I don't know if it's true, but allegedly that stalker had booked the same hotel and then tried to call every room to see who would pick up. And they likely did it while Jung Kook was live so they could really see what room it was. And then I guess run down to that room or sneak in later, who knows. But this would not have been as hard as you would think, which is what is terrifying to me. This is a very common method used among these stalkers. I'm not saying anything new. These stalkers know that after or before a big event like the Grammys and their concert, which is why they were in Vegas, BTS members will do a live stream to thank ARMY and just celebrate. So the stalker was likely waiting for that. Then it is rumored that BTS members will buy out the entire floor, so no customers has a reason to be on that floor. Since BTS was in town for Vegas and all that, likely every other floor would have been fully booked out. So that means if you, the stalker, calls a random room on, let's say, the second floor and someone picks up that isn't Jung Kook, you can rule out that entire floor. But if no one picks up, you likely found the right floor and you just called the one empty room, because BTS member floor would be the only floor that has empty rooms. So you just have to call every room on that floor, and then you'd see the ring on Jungkook's live stream. So people believe this is what happened and how Jungkook's room and room phone was dialed without the hotel staff stopping them. However, what is more of a relief to me is that it's rumored and believed also that once the stream ended, the staff would have told Jungkook to pack his bags and move to another room. This way, the moment the stalker attempts to get into that room that they believe Jungkook is still at, security can be on their way and Jungkook might be in a room all the way at the other end of the hall. But all of this is just what is believed to have happened. No one was actually there watching anything happen, but it's relieving to know that in a situation like this, the staff can be more than prepared to handle it and Jungkook would be safe. Jungkook has also been heavily talked about due to the recent confirmation of Jungkook and the World Cup. He was recently in Qatar and it was rumored that he was rehearsing for the World Cup, but we had no idea until now. The World Cup isn't as big of a deal here in the US as the Super Bowl would be, but globally the World Cup is a big deal. Now there was a big backlash over where the World Cup was being held, and people have been very upset because the country that it's being held at is very homophobic. But once it was rumored that Jungkook would perform at the World Cup, armies and people from other fandoms were a bit upset at what this meant and talked about how Jungkook performing would mean that he was homophobic, but he doesn't really have a choice there. But people were actually protesting this. They were either asking the World Cup to remove Jungkook because they didn't want him associated with the World Cup. There was also people saying that they will not be watching Jungkook's performance, and one of the first times they cannot support someone like that. And this is all too much, I think, because you can't beat the system. I think it's highly hypocritical to protest a specific company or place when we likely are all a part of a system that is either homophobic, classist, misogynistic, or racist. Chick-fil-A has been pretty openly known as homophobic, and most of America is not homophobic. Yet Chick-fil-A is still one of the highest selling restaurant chains right now, and they have Sunday closed. So that means they're selling so much that it doesn't even matter if one day is closed, meaning everyone is still supporting the business regardless. Because you either like the food or that's the only thing you want to eat that's nearby or cheap. I don't shame you for that. We also all probably use Amazon, even knowing the terrible effects they're having on the world right now. But what choice do we have when we need something fast and cheap? But these are probably all the same people who likely all take part in this system but are shaming Jungkook for not really having a choice either. Is he going to give up the opportunity to perform at the biggest event in the world? Probably not. Korea probably wouldn't even let him do that, as it's such good publicity for Korea as well. If you choose not to watch the performance, that's okay, and could probably send a message to the World Cup, but then don't shame Jungkook for being a part of the ceremony and game that he probably didn't have much control over. There was another point that was being thrown around to kind of stop the shaming of the World Cup and Jungkook, calling those who are upset over the World Cup's location Islamophobic. This is a bit of a stretch to me because no one here hates Islam people. A country policy does not represent all the people of that country and their beliefs. Most people know this. We have pretty conflicting policies and viewpoints even here in America. I don't think this would be a good argument to get people to stop shaming the location. I do see why people are upset, but understand there's so much not within the control of Jungkook and even the World Cup. The World Cup needed a good location to host the event, and apparently no place was big enough except Qatar. And there's even some of the players of the game that are believed to be gay, so they likely don't want to be there anyway in fear of getting attacked at their hotel or treated less than. And those people have more to lose, as they might be openly gay since they're famous, but they're still doing it because they don't really have a choice. It doesn't seem like anyone had a choice. But if you are flying over to the game, I wish you the best, and please cheer loudly for our Jungkookie monster. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.